It's that time of season again. It's October, it's Halloween time, and today, to commemorate that, we are going to be ranking Art the Clown's most gruesome kills from least gruesome, least intense, all the way to the most intense and most gruesome kill in the Terrifier series. So if you aren't familiar, Terrifier is a series that has been running for a little bit now and follows Art the Clown, and it's a pretty simple premise. All the movies follow the same sort of formula, which is Art the Clown just going on an absolute rampage. That's pretty much the idea, and what makes the movie series so infamous is the amount of gore, the gruesome creative kills. Probably the most gruesome, bloodiest, goriest franchise I think I've seen ever, possibly. So it's safe to say that this video is definitely viewer's discretion is advised. So just a couple of notes here. Obviously there's going to be some major spoilers because I'm going to go through all the kills. I'm also going to omit all the kills from All Hallows Eve, which is the first movie that Art the Clown appeared in. And I'm also going to omit any kills of Art himself or Vicky as well. So I'm not counting the ones where they get killed, just the actual victims. Alright, let's get this started. At number 23, we have the bartender and Smokey's death in Terrifier 3. So we're starting off pretty tamed here. This one pretty much has Art the Clown entering a bar, and he sort of trolls and messes with two people sitting at the bar, the bartender and then two people sitting at the bar. And after he kind of messes with them a little bit, he ends up shooting two of them in the head with a weapon. And it's pretty brief, pretty quick. And in this series, you definitely are lucky if you get off with something this easy. At number 22, in the same vein, we have Tara's death from Terrifier 1. So in the same vein, while Art the Clown never uses guns, this is the second iteration where he just ends up shooting our main protagonist with a gun and just ending her. It's real fast. He shoots her several times, but it's really quick. Alright, at number 21 spot, we have the construction worker, the first construction worker in Terrifier 3. So two construction workers are looking in this old abandoned house pretty much, and Art and Vicky are both in there, and the first construction worker gets pretty much stabbed with a piece of glass by Vicky. It's very quick, and the second part of the kill you don't even see on camera. So again, it's just nothing out of the ordinary, just a little blood comes out, but nothing crazy. At the number 20 spot, we have the Clown Cafe scene in Terrifier 2. So, like I said, he never really uses actual guns, but this is a hallucination that Sienna is having, and in the actual hallucination, or the nightmare, if you will, Art the Clown pulls out this machine gun, and he basically guns down a bunch of people in the actual scene. Bunch of blood comes out. He's just unloading on them with this Tommy gun or something. It's pretty quick, but he is unloading on them, and it's pretty gruesome overall, but nothing torturous or anything like that, just pretty quick. Alright, at the number 19 spot, we have the cop in Terrifier 3. So, near the beginning of the movie, there's this cop looking around a subway sort of station thing going on, and he's kind of looking around and he sees Art's body without a head, and out of nowhere Art kind of just comes up from behind him and grabs him, and that's pretty much the end of the scene. Not much happens, but in the scene after, it's assumed that he ended up taking this cop's head, as you can imagine, and yeah, it's pretty unnerving and creepy, but nothing that crazy, just slightly gory. Alright, at the number 18 spot, we have Will's death in Terrifier 1. So, near the end of the movie, as this guy's looking around for his friend, I believe, Art kind of comes up from behind him with a knife and ends up stabbing it in his head, leading to his head coming off. And it's brutal, but it's nothing crazy. The effects are pretty good, even in the first movie. All the movies have insanely good special effects and everything, and this is no different. But it's relatively quick, and it's not prolonged, and it looks a little fake, but overall, a pretty quick scene. Alright, at number 17, we have Sienna's mom's death in Terrifier 2. So this one is completely unexpected and pretty quick though, but pretty gruesome. So as Sienna's mom is trying to clean up her car, which has been completely ramshacked by a prankster, she believes. They threw a bunch of stuff on her car, and she thinks that it's a prankster. So while she's cleaning it, she ends up kind of revealing what's inside the car, and sure enough, it's Art the Clown, but he's holding this shotgun, and the minute she reveals it, her head pretty much gets blown off by him, and it's really gory, blood goes everywhere, and I guess I have this one over the other ones just because it's Sienna's mom, and it's so unexpected, and it happens really fast, and it's really gruesome, so that's why I have it at the number 17 spot. Alright, at number 16, we have Mike the Janitor from Terrifier 1. So there's actually two separate parts to this kill. So one, he's walking up the steps and Art the Clown kind of comes up from behind him and hits him over the head. Nothing really happens after that. But later on in the movie, he goes up from behind him while he's on the ground and he basically just stomps on his head, and it just shows everything. Definitely gory and gruesome. Alright, at the number 15 spot, we have Ricky from Terrifier 2. So as Sienna is in a gift shop pretty much, and she's buying her stuff, Art the Clown happens to be in the shop as well, kind of messing with her behind her, just kind of being creepy. She leaves, and then it's just him and Ricky, which is the person at the counter, and basically after telling him he has to go, he ends up taking a hatchet and putting it into his head, as you can imagine, and he falls to the ground, and then Art the Clown pretty much over and over again goes at it with the hatchet, and then the head pretty much comes off. It does look a little fake, but again, really gruesome, and he's using a hatchet, which takes him several attempts, which makes it even bloodier. Alright, at number 14, we have the pizza shop employee in Terrifier 1. So, this one is also extremely gruesome. He kind of just has his way with this guy. He severs his arm and then uses a knife to strike him several times. It's extremely bloody. Again, some of these up here can be pretty interchanged, to be honest. All the kills are extremely gory. It's really later on in the list where you really get to see the true gore of the franchise. But yeah, this one is up there at number 14. Alright, at number 13, we have Jeff from Terrifier 2. So, without completely being demonetized for this, so later on in the movie, him and his girlfriend are kind of sitting in a car, and he goes out to use the bathroom, and Art the Clown pretty much comes out and grabs his you-know-what, rips it out, and starts stabbing it. And yeah, it's prolonged, and I guess this one, just of how painful it is and how gruesome it is, and just, it's hitting a man where it hurts, if you will. So because of that, I definitely have it at number 13. Tough watch. Very tough watch. Alright, at number 12, we have Adam Burke in Terrifier 3. I don't know why I said his full name, but it's basically one of the guys working in the mental hospital, basically at the beginning of the movie, and I believe it's played by a wrestler, if I'm not mistaken, and this is a really gruesome death. Pretty much he's walking down the hallway, and Art and Vicky pretty much double team him, and Art the Clown grabs his face and pretty much slowly tears it off completely and just ravages his head. Extremely gory. They love to do stuff with the head, but this one is extremely explicit and lasts for a little longer than usual as well, so that's why I have it up at number 12. Alright, number 11, we have the coroner from Terrifier 2. So this is right off the bat. This is literally the first kill in the movie, and it's a continuation from the first movie where Art the Clown is pretty much in a body bag, and obviously he's not dead, but he awakens, and this kill is kind of juxtaposed between different scenes that are happening. But yeah, Art the Clown pretty much grabs this little tiny hammer and just goes at this guy's face, and it's really prolonged. Even though it's cutting between shots, it's his face is just becoming mush after a while. It's extremely graphic. Everything's shown. It really sets the stage for the movie Terrifier 2, which in some ways I feel is even gorier in a way, as you'll see later, than Terrifier 3. But yeah, I mean, all of them again are extremely gory. But yeah, this one, just how long it takes to kill him, and like the fact that he's using a tiny hammer makes it all the more devastating, if you will. Alright, so now we're in the top 10. From here on out, these kills get extremely graphic. So if you made it this far, hope you're enjoying the video. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. All right, number 10, we have the dad's death in Terrifier 3. So at the beginning of the movie, you know, we have a family, basically two kids, a wife and a husband, and it's Christmas night, and they're pretty much sleeping. You know, the wife's sitting next to the dad, and Art the Clown ends up going into their house, and he grabs his axe, and while he's in the bed, the couple is in the bed, he has at it with the dad, and it's extreme close-ups of basically his limbs being cut off, and he's just going at it. Like, it's extremely gory, but also I have it up here at number 10 because of the fact that it's happening right next to his wife, which is extremely messed up, and obviously she's reacting to this happening, so this makes it a lot more disturbing. And yeah, so he just gets hacked to death, extreme, just blood everywhere, everything's shown, and yeah, and she's just screaming in terror. It's truly, as the name suggests, terrifying. Alright, at number 9, we have the second construction worker in Terrifier 3. So, as I mentioned earlier in the video, these two construction workers pretty much are investigating this house, and the first one, like I said, he had it easy, he just gets stabbed. This guy's kill almost makes up for both of them. They're like, oh, that was a little too easy, so let's just go in on this guy. So, he gets his finger bitten off, his head gets peeled, if you will, and he completely removes the skin at the top, and he's doing this with this glass or this knife, and he takes his time with it too. That's why this one's all the way up here in the single digits. He takes his time with it as he's screaming, and all the while this is happening, Vicky is doing something with a piece of glass. I can't go into detail what that is, but let's just say she's enjoying the scene, if you will. And yeah, it takes a while, this kill, so that's why I have it up here. Very disturbing. Alright, at number 8, I have the mom / the kids in Terrifier 3. So, backtrack one kill before the construction worker, like I was talking about with the dad. Okay, after the dad gets murdered in the bed, the mom runs to check up on her children, and sure enough, and I remember when this came out, people were really, there was a lot of controversy around this particular kill, and while they don't show anything, you kind of just hear it, but Art the Clown does end the kids, shows the aftermath. It just literally just flat out shows the aftermath of it with their limbs and everything and blood on the bed and everything. So honestly, it's really disturbing, just the idea of that. That's why I have it up on number 8. It's not the most gruesome, but it's the idea of it that makes it way more disturbing and gruesome, is that these were actually kids, and Art the Clown did basically the same thing he did with the dad, but to the kids. And then after that, and I'm matching it up with the mom just to finish it off, but it's just as disturbing. She sees this, obviously she's yelling, she runs down the stairs and everything. Art the Clown follows her down there, and yeah, basically just chops off her arm, and he takes his time with this one too, also, and then splits her in half, basically, after she just saw that horrific scene. So just truly, truly disturbing in every way, and extremely bloody. Alright, at number 7, we have Brooke in Terrifier 2. So, Brooke is the friend of Sienna, and in this particular scene, this is in the second half of the movie, she's basically being chased down by Art the Clown. She goes into this sort of haunted house thing, and she goes into the bathroom, and then she's trapped. It's a dead end. Art follows her in there, and he has a big spiked bat, and she's crying, please don't kill me, this and that. So that's already kind of disturbing. And he tosses acid on her, so obviously that she's screaming in agony while she's doing that. Then he takes the spiked bat that he has, and then he completely just bashes her with it before taking out her heart. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. A very disturbing, super over-the-top kill, multi-step, and while it's not the longest kill, it's still like the acid, it makes it so much worse and everything. So yeah, she just gets totally brutalized in this scene. Yeah, this is number 7, by the way, which is kind of crazy. Alright, number 6, we have the mall kids in Terrifier 3. So this one's a unique case in that the idea is a lot more disturbing than what they actually show in it. And while it's pretty quick, it's still, if you think about it, really messed up. I might, believe it or not, probably move this one back a bit, maybe at number 9 or 8, maybe should have been. Probably, but anyways, I'll keep it at number 6. But basically, Art the Clown is dressed up as Santa Claus in the third one for the majority of the movie, and he resumes his role as Santa Claus, and kids are he's sitting in the chair where Santa Claus is supposed to be, you know, after he kills the Santa Claus, which we'll get to in a little bit. But while he's doing that, you know, all the adults kind of start looking like, oh, who is that? Like, that's not the Santa Santa Claus. It's some weird clown. So they're yelling at him like, get out of here. You know, and there's a bunch of kids here, by the way. They have their presents and everything. So he kind of laughs at them and then he runs away. And as he goes away from the scene, one of the kids opens up one of his presents and this huge explosion happens, basically killing all these underage kids. Basically all these kids, they all get blown to smithereens just like that, and you see the reaction of the adults and everything, and then you see the aftermath of like flesh and whatever, you know, limbs and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy. And again, this one's not the flashiest and not the goriest, but again, they're actually doing this with kids now. And it's like a terrorist attack, basically, what just happened there. So really a horrific situation, if you will. And yeah, well, memorable for sure from the third one. Alright, so now we're at the top 5 most gruesome, most unrelenting kills from Art the Clown. And at number 5, we have Don from Terrifier 1. So this is one of the most iconic kill from the first movie, hands down, the one scene that a lot of people remember. And essentially, her friend, Tara's friend, these are two main leads from the first movie, but her friend, she is basically hung upside down, and Art the Clown takes a saw and basically saws from the top all the way to the bottom, very slowly, all while Tara is watching. She's chained up to a chair watching all this. Extremely gruesome, extremely messed up, and yeah, it's from the top down, so it's like he's taking his time with it, and obviously he has to struggle to saw with this rusty saw all the way down until she's cut in half, basically, of what's left of her. Yeah, extremely shocking, if you will, and yeah, just an iconic scene from that movie. Alright, number 4, we have Cole and Mia's death in Terrifier 3. So, this is, dare I say, the most blood used, I think, in any of the kills. I might be wrong about that, but I remember this one, and I just saw the scene for the video, and yeah, there's so much gore in this particular scene, but essentially, the couple, this is a couple from Terrifier 3, and they're in the shower together, you know, no clothes or anything, and Art the Clown comes up with a chainsaw, basically, and she chains through the glass door of the shower and just starts going at both of them. And there's, I mean, what isn't shown in the scene? It's complete gore everywhere, close-ups of their limbs being cut off and everything, just like that, like a chainsaw would, just unimaginable horror. And then yeah, he chains through her face. So Mia, she dies pretty fast, sort of, even though she's kind of still alive, just basically nothing left of her head, and he puts sunglasses on her face, basically, of what's left of it. But meanwhile, Cole, which is the boyfriend, he's still alive somehow. He barely has arms, and he's walking, kind of sliding, and Art the Clown takes the chainsaw. Before grabbing his leg, he's ripping it off, but he takes the chainsaw and he just sticks it right basically where the sun don't shine, and saws his way up. Extremely over the top, extremely messed up in every way, blood everywhere. And yeah, he does that, and again, all the way similar to the Don kill that I just spoke about, from the bottom up, if you will. And yeah, just extreme, and probably the goriest kill in that movie. Alright, number 3, we have Santa Claus from Terrifier 3. So this one I found to be extremely disturbing, only because of how long he takes to do it. There's definitely a torturous aspect of this, where, and this is probably one of the more creative kills out of the franchise, but basically the Santa Claus, which is the one out of the 3 people that didn't get shot in the bar, in one of the first kills I was talking about, where Art the Clown enters. Yeah, the Santa Claus, poor Santa Claus, he basically gets chained to a chair, and Art the Clown basically uses nitrogen to freeze his limbs. And then after he freezes his limbs, while he's alive, mind you, the whole time, freezes his limbs and then takes a hammer and breaks off his limbs, frozen limbs, and he's taking his time with this to slow death. And then he uses the nitrogen on the guy's head, freezing his head. And then, of course, he takes the hammer and does the same thing, and then puts a carrot in the guy's head like a snowman. So yeah, extremely horrific, to be honest, disturbing, and it lasts for a while. It feels like it lasts forever just because he's taken so long with it, and it's one limb after another. Horrible, horrible death, just awful. All right, we're getting down to the top 2 here. Brace yourself. At number 2, we have Aunt Jessica in Terrifier 3. So this one's also extremely creative. And again, I think the situation of this is what makes this so unbelievably disturbing as well. I remember being uncomfortable at this death because of what's happening. So at the end of Terrifier 3, basically, her home is basically, taken hostage by Art the Clown and Vicky. They go to her house and they have Sienna chained up, and they have the little girl, her cousin, I believe, held hostage, basically. And then the mom is right across from her, chained up as well. And they basically put this tube in her throat and take these rats and they start putting fire behind the rats so they crawl into her throat, basically. And yeah, that's the way she dies. It's a long scene, no remorse whatsoever from Art or Vicky. Just extremely disturbing because you're seeing the actual reaction from Sienna and her cousin as well, or nephew or whatnot, as well in real time as this is happening. A horrific death, truly. And then I think they slice her neck open after that. After the rats are in there, they slice it. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's truly disgusting and way over the top. So that's why she's at the number 2 spot. And finally, at the number 1 spot, the goriest, the most relentless kill out of the entire franchise. And I'm sure if you've seen these movies, you know this is the scene I'm talking about. Allie's death from Terrifier 2. So this one was always interesting to me because of why it was so gruesome. Out of all the kills, out of all the characters, I don't know why they chose this particular character to have such an awful death. Who knows? Who knows? But basically, Allie kind of refuses to give candy to Art the Clown when he goes up to her door earlier in the movie. Like, trick-or-treating, and she refuses to give him candy. Anyways, he makes it into her house, and she's obviously like, scared and everything. She runs into her room. He follows right behind her, and I don't know what he doesn't do to her at this point. He slices her eye. He rips her arms off. He stabs her, and he does all kinds of things, cuts her scalp and all that. She does so much to her with the knife, then runs downstairs, grabs bleach and salt, throws bleach on her, throws salt on her while she's all bloody. So it's extended, like he just keeps doing stuff to her. And then after she's basically nothing and there's blood all over the room, it's extremely gory. Then her mom runs in. You get to see the reaction of the mom seeing her daughter like this, which is she's somehow still alive too. Like whatever's left of her, she's still moving around, and she like looks over to her mom like she's still, and Art the Clown's kind of like whatever, trolling right next to her. But it's truly a disturbing scene. I mean, every single way. It's extremely long, extremely drawn out, extremely gory, obviously. Everything's shown, and it's just the unrelenting savageness of it, if you will, that makes it the most gruesome, and I guess depending on who you ask, the best, if you will, death of the franchise. But yeah, it's a tough watch. It really is a tough watch in every way. Just really disturbing, not for the faint of heart. But anyways, there you have it. All the deaths from the Terrifier franchise, 1, 2, and 3, ranked from least to most gruesome, or best, if you will, quote unquote, depending on who you ask. But yeah, let me know below. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. Going to be making a lot more Halloween content, but there you have it. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, and have a happy Halloween.